welcome to the show. I'm Tosh Taylor.
And I'm Jenna Morton, and with us in studio for this episode, we have Matt LeBlanc with Fusion Productions. Welcome, Matt.
Well, thank you.
We have talked about inviting you on the show, I think, pretty much every year we've done this show, because every year you've been doing these incredible things, and now we're finally here.
Yes.
For people who have no idea what Fusion Productions is about, give us the rundown. What exactly is it that you've been creating?
Yeah, absolutely, and thanks for the invitation. I really appreciate it. So Fusion Production has been around for, believe it or not, 13 years. So it's something I've started as a way to get promoted as an abstract artist. So that was 13 years ago. It's not that anymore. So it has really evolved over the years, and we've added and we've grown. So now it's a fusion of a different bunch of artists, right? So we have like singers, we have acrobats, we have musician, we have dancers. So there's always a story to it as well. So a lot of people say, oh, it kind of reminds them of like a Cirque du Soleil. Mm-hmm. So that's how people understand it. I always follow that by saying we don't have the same budget. But in kind of the same way, we entertain people, right? And we've grown a lot. Like now it's a full production. It's very professional. We spend a lot of time on storytelling, costumes, props, design. We have a big team involved. So it's a bit surreal to think that when we started so small, it was just myself, and we've grown so much over the years. So
I have absolutely loved watching it just build and be this made in New Brunswick production that does look like it could be one of those big stage shows that travel city to city, and you have started traveling with it.
Yeah, we did. So last year we did a couple shows in Halifax, and we're going back again this year, adding a third show in Halifax. And we're in Caraquet, we're in St. John, Fredericton, we're here, obviously. And next year we're adding PI as well, and we might go towards Quebec as well. So I always say it's not a race, it's a marathon, because these are big shows, big budget, takes a lot of time, and you want to make sure you do it right. Right, mm-hmm. So I don't think we'll add like 20 cities in a year, right? But it's a slow pace, but it's a good pace. And last year, people were amazing at supporting us. I think we were about 96% sold everywhere. So that's great. So that's across all the shows, including Halifax, which was the first time. So the show is very community driven. So we have a lot of artists in the show. We have a mix of professional, we have up and coming. And so people really feel it's a community show, but in a professional setting, right? So we take them on months in advance. We give them all the training. They get to wear the costumes, do photo shoot, video shoot. So we spend a lot of time with our artists. So when we go to different cities, a lot of people don't know this, but we actually recruit locally, which is insane when you think about a business model. It's super logistic-wise, it's insane, right? So we have to deal with all these separate groups of artists, and the shows are like between 50 to 75 artists, right? So imagine all these shows, and you have to coordinate all those details. But it works because the community gets on board. So instead of having a group from the Moncton that goes to Halifax, they're like, okay, it's our artists in Halifax, and they're part of this huge production. So I think that's what makes us so unique and different, right? So people, they come on board, and we usually support local charity as well. So even though I feel it's a big production, we're very local and very community driven, so.
That's actually, I'm happy you brought that up, because that was one of the questions I was going to ask. And what I love so much about the show is that you've always worked with, I think in the very beginning, was it Chaos? That you had Dance Chaos working with you, like you're bringing people up with you as you go, which is absolutely incredible. And the fact that you're expanding to Halifax and you're bringing in these Halifax dance troupes and artists and more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you ever see this happening?
No, never. I mean, it's easy to say now that I was never envisioning it, but I think after a few years, because Originally, I wanted to sell art because I had a great art career, and the first fusion was followed by a big campaign I did in the memory of my sister. So let me backtrack a little bit. So growing up, I lost my sister to cancer. She was only 5. So what I wanted growing up is to give back in her memory. I didn't know what to do. I kind of became an artist a little bit by fun or passion, meaning that I started painting one day and I started selling, and it just kind of ramped up. So when I started kind of selling art, I said, okay, well, why not do a big campaign in her memory? So this was 14 years ago. And I decided to paint and sell 200 pieces in 6 months. So that's about 1.2 a day, if you're good with math.
No big deal.
Yeah, and I was working full time. My son Alex was very young at that time, so it was really tough, right? But I wanted to show people that once you have cancer, you have to battle every day, day in, day out, even if you're tired, right? So I think the whole thing raised like over $50,000, so gave all that to charity. But all that to say that we did an event to showcase all the art at the end, and it was so magical just to see everyone. And you know, Chaos was there, and there was other people, like there was a chef cooking, and there was a good vibe,
awesome.
right?
It was.
Yeah, you were there.
I
you
was
were
there.
there.
I
Yeah.
have one of those pieces.
Yeah,
Cool.
there you go. There you go. So that's worth a lot of money. So that was 14 years ago. So really, I did it for my sister, but it inspired the next 13 years of my career, because I came back the next year. Believe it or not, I actually considered doing it again. Yeah, that was crazy.
I was gonna say, did your wife go?
Yeah, maybe not, maybe not. So I came back the next year and I did what I call the first fusion. So, which is at the basis was kind of what it is today, but today it's much larger, much more complicated, and like everything was kind of so simple the first year, but people really enjoyed it because it was different. So, so then we've grown and we've kind of, you know, for 4 or 5 years, I only had a show here in Moncton. So in the 3rd year, we went to the casino. We were there for a while. And then this year, we're at the Dieppe Uniplex, which is a big step for us.
Wow.
So we're going from a show at the casino that's one night to more of an arena type of show, 2 nights in Dieppe. So that's coming up in 35 days.
No one's counting.
So yeah, so it's extremely busy, but I see this as a dream come true, right? So my first show that I did for my sister was the first show at the Art Center in Dieppe. This will be the first show at the Uniplex Center in Dieppe. So it kind of goes around, right? So I'm very proud to see that we've come a long way, and we're hoping to grow it there as well. So next year we're talking about adding to, like, around the show and doing more around the event, right? So
Talk a little bit about all of these other collaborators that you have now, because when you started, it was very much your project, and now it's so much more. Talk about some of the different groups locally that are involved.
Yeah, absolutely. We have different partners for all the shows. So you've mentioned Chaos. We actually now have partnership with different dance schools. And we also have partnership with, you know, different singing groups, or we have like Olympia Cheer as well. They do all the gymnastic and they show people in the air, which is always amazing. When we go to other cities, there's other dance there. Like we have like a lot of partners around, and we love to make those partnerships, and then they kind of work with their own artists. But we also have audition. So this year we have partnership with l'Académie de Ballet in Dieppe, Chaos, and Envy in Chidiac. And then we had open audition for everyone else, because I really strongly believe that everyone should have a chance, right? So, and there was so many amazing dancers that show up, like I think over like 75. So, and we took a group from that. And then we have audition for singers, musician, and gymnasts, acrobats. So we kind of recruit that way, and it's the same for everywhere else. And then we kind of use our platform to promote our partners, and in hope that they'll do the same. So it kind of, you know, help to sell tickets at the end of the day. So that's kind of how we work.
Okay. Now every year, it's a different show, which
Yep.
means it's a different story.
Yep.
Correct.
Yep.
Where are these story ideas coming from?
Right here, somewhere.
All up there in that head.
It's because it is important to point out that this is like the whole thing is a story that's being told. That
Yeah.
this isn't a talent show.
Yeah.
It's all being it's your story
Yeah.
put on stage by all these different artists.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And thank you for mentioning that, because a lot of people could think it's just like a talent show, right? But it's not. There's always a story. Like last year was the story of a Kiko. This year it's Zorka. So every year it's like a different kind of name and story. It's actually difficult. People would think it's, a simple thing to do, but we always start with the story, and then the story drives everything. So it drives costumes, props, it drives the performances, it drives the decor as well. So last year was more of like a magical forest. So I had this large kind of mass that I've created on the stage. Everything was kind of black light. And then this year it's more like a futuristic kind of show where the world is kind of all screwed up because we, the humans, screwed it up, right? So, and then the whole thing about the story is that the main character is going to try to bring the world back to where it should be, right? So you'll see it in the costume. There's a lot of futuristic. We play a lot with lights and different stuff. And so it drives everything. But it's extremely hard every year to come back with a new story and a new name as well. Mm-hmm. Names are difficult. So it's a lot of brainstorming, a lot of meetings, a lot of creative. And I used to do it all by myself, but now I kind of rely on my team because I have a team as well. And then, but we're trying as well to get more out of one show. So meaning that as we expand, I want to take existing show and bring it on the road versus creating a new one. So logistically, it's a little bit hard because you always once you go to a city and you want to return the next year, you have to bring something new.
Yeah.
Right. So we're creating new, but it's going to come to a point where we might have to be in Kirk every 2 years instead of every year, or St. John or whatever, because it's going to become a little problem to manage it all. And there's only so many dates in a year. And
that's
right,
exactly it. It's not just your couple of days in Moncton anymore, and then you've got 360 days to write a new story.
Yeah.
It's you're running out of days in the year all the time. Yeah.
And Akiko was last fall, and we're June, so that's 6 months.
This is a good point.
Yeah, that's not even a year.
Yeah.
So which is not normal.
Yeah.
Which is not normal, but. It's been busy.
Yeah.
It's been really busy. So, but a good busy.
But now you have some of those previous shows and stories that maybe haven't been in all the other cities that could have some life again.
Exactly.
What happens with all of all those props, all that costuming? Like, have you kept that all through the years? Do you have a massive warehouse now?
That's a yes.
Yeah, the warehouse called my home.
Oh boy.
So I have like a huge storage at home, basement, attic. There's a room, like a baby barn, garage, like everywhere. But I have like a storage as well too in town. But as we grow, the dream is to get a space where we have everything and the team can be there. And big step this year, I actually have my first employee, which is amazing. So it helps a lot. But for people that know me and know my show, like I'm a machine, like I work all the time, but that's not good, right? Mm-hmm. So I need to bring in more people to help. So the dream is to have a place somewhere where we can kind of create and do other projects. Like I'm working on, it's great to have the big show, but it's good to have smaller project too. And I'm working on a few things for the upcoming year, which is very interesting, different. It's all in the creative kind of entertainment space, right? Which is where we want to be. Mm-hmm. But again, we got to do more with the same. And to answer your question, I don't think I've ever thrown anything out. So we keep recycling and repainting stuff and reusing, and like the set from last year, a lot of pieces I had 4 years ago, but I've repainted, refurbished, and then once you're sitting there with a little drink and you watch the show, no one's gonna know, right?
Yeah.
But it does take a lot of space, for sure.
Do you find time to do your actual art anymore?
No, no. And it's a choice as
Not
well.
that this isn't, but
It's
No.
art, but it's different
Yeah.
than the art that
Yeah,
maybe a
exactly.
lot of people knew you for.
Yeah, exactly. My passion has shifted. I'll be
Mm-hmm.
100% honest. And I always say, like, you can only do so much on a blank canvas, but on blank canvas on the show, it's endless, right? There's so many possibilities. Like, we're working with projections and, you know, just the costumes, and we're gonna have a lot of LED lights in the show this year, and they're all like addressable, meaning that you can have a wall of LED lights, but you can control, and light number 14 is gonna be red and light number 12 is gonna be green, you know what I mean? So it's so much more than having a canvas and just doing a piece of art, right?
Yeah.
I still do it for custom work because I do have a fan base, and sometimes I get asked, like, would you do one? But I always tell them, like, I can't do it right away because I'm super busy, but most of the time they're not in a rush. But
Right.
but definitely it has shifted. I would say 95% of my time is the shows, right? So it's what drives me, and that's the passion. So
Something tells me in your head right now, you've probably got 5 years worth of shows. Just
you would-
kind of like,
you would be surprised. You would be surprised. I do have a lot of ideas for projects. Yeah, I do have.
he's like, I'm not
some.
giving away
Yeah.
any
No,
of it.
no,
Yeah.
no.
That's the next interview.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about kind of the reaction to what you're doing from the community, from artists, from the audience members. This isn't something that I think a lot of people would think is something that exists on the East Coast.
Absolutely. I think we surprise a lot of people. I hear it all the time. Like, I love to see people's reaction at the shows and just kind of walk around, like, every time, like the first intermission, I kind of walk around, and it's almost like the first couple people you talk. After that, you're like, "Phew, okay, we're good, guys." And I always tell the team and the artists to kind of motivate them, right? But the comments last year was like, because last year it was our first time since 2019, because of, we're not going to mention why, but it's almost 4 years, right? So we had a great year in 2019, and then nothing for 4 years. So I was worried, like, how are people going to react? So obviously people supported us at 96% like full everywhere, especially new markets. But just hearing the comments, like, and the comments that come so often is, wow, I did not know that I was going to be blown away. And two, I'm shocked that it's local artists from here. And I'm always like, yes. Like, we're so, like, eager to support big names that come and shows sell out. But I always say, like, we have so many great talents here, like super singers. Like, I have one this year. She was in the show last year. She was 15 last year. She's 16 this year. I brought her to a little event we had the other day, and she sang, and people almost cried. And they were like, who's this girl? She's 16.
Yeah.
Like, she's so amazing, right? So that's what Fusion is all about, is taking those artists that are local, they're young, up and coming. We got some older ones too, but it sounds better when I say they're young. But just for, like, most of them, they haven't been on the big stage. Like,
And now they think anything is possible.
yeah, exactly. And a lot of them, they want to return and they want to be in the show again because there's nothing else around here, right? So that's what's so special about it that I find.
Yeah, I like that. I like that you're opening up the window for a lot of kids, and people here do. They're absolutely like, oh, some big show's coming, or why do we never get big shows, et cetera, et cetera. But all of those people that you're supporting that are big, that are coming to town, started in a small town somewhere else.
Absolutely.
So, to get your eyes on an amazing local show, on these kids and these young adults that could potentially be that next big thing, like, you're opening huge doors. Thank you for that.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I love it. I love it. Like, I could do this, like, all my life. I really love it. So
I have goosebumps thinking about the potential of what you have created. What you've created already is incredible. But I mean, this is not even 10 years of doing this,
Yeah,
really.
because we
What-
lost 4 years.
Yeah. What is this going to be in 5 to 10 years?
Yeah.
What's your
Well, I have the vision, so definitely the biggest struggle for us is the financial part. Obviously, like these shows are crazy expensive, and people don't realize it. So, I mean, just to put things in perspective, like when I was talking about those LED lights earlier, like just building that, and then having someone all pre-program all those lights, like taking months, right? Like it's so much money, right? But I've never like said, oh, we're not gonna do it, like because we don't have the funds, right? Like for me, it's always like I need to deliver the creative that I want, and then we'll try to find a fund to do it, right? So I think moving forward, as we grow, as things get more expensive, and they did after the pandemic, big time, we have to find great partners and try to find those key people that are going to help us. Like, I'm not going to name drop anyone today, but there's a key people and that really, really changed everything for us because they believed in us, right? And sometimes it doesn't need to be much, but I had someone attending the Moncton show for so long, and he said, we're bringing this to Halifax. So they were a key group at making Halifax a success. So, you know, we need someone to do the same in like Charlottetown or someone else to kind of believe in us. And once someone believes in us and can sponsor us or whatever, help us grow, then if we can go once or twice, people are going to see what it is and they're going to come back and support, right? So that's the biggest challenge I'm seeing moving forward, is how we can kind of grow with this large production that's so costly, right? Like being on the road and the trucks and everything, right? So it's, but challenge accepted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, we've talked a lot about, you know, what it takes to put this on, but for most people, all they want to know is where they're going to go to see it, what's it like, you know, how long is this show, where do they go to watch it, how much is it to go see it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest show we have coming up, like I said, 36 days. It's in Dieppe at the Uniplex Center. So if you've never been, it's a sports complex that they've built a couple, like over COVID, and it's a beautiful venue. So we have like tables on the floor, and then there's bleachers. So tables, we have like corporate, and then we have general. So general is just, you know, if you two wanted to get a gang together, you sit at a table, you can watch the show, you can have a little bite, you can have a little drink. So it's a night out, and people really enjoy it. And then there's bleachers. So bleachers could be family. So we have like tickets for 12 and under that starts at $30. And then there's $50 for 13 and above. And then sitting at a table, it's $60 times 10 if you take the full table. And then corporate, it's mostly sold. So that's the Dieppe show. And then we have this fall, we have Caraquet, we have St. John, Fredericton, and Halifax. So those will be announced soon. But we're focusing on this show
Let's
first.
get through
Yes.
this one first.
And it's
Yeah.
coming up
the date.
June
Yeah, it's
15?
yeah, it's June 14 and 15, so the Friday and the Saturday.
Okay.
And for all the information about tickets, fusionevent.ca. So fusionevent.ca. So everything's there, and you can purchase the tickets there or get more information. So
Fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here.
hey, I love it. I could talk all day about this.
Well, thank you for coming in, and thank you
Thank
all
you.
for watching and listening. We'll have all that information in the show notes as well if you didn't catch it down quick enough, and we hope we'll see you next week.